To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Welcome to the Talk About the Magic podcast, where you'll find inspiration and encouragement tied together with the magic of Disney. Now, here's your host, Joseph Ballesteros.
What is going on, Magic Chairs? Welcome to another episode of Talk About the Magic. It has been, well, I guess just a week, right? Yeah, I guess it hasn't been that long. It feels pretty long to me because I just came back from my first Disney cruise, and it was awesome, amazing, pretty much more than I expected, more than I could have expected, I guess is the word. I had some reservations as far as, do I really want to do this? We were leaving our normal Disney World trip behind in order to do the cruise, and I wasn't sure because, I mean, Disney World, I've gone now 2014, 15, four times, not including when I was a kid. I love the place. And I was really kind of like, is this what, we want to give up our Disney World trip for? And so we did it, and it's a whole different kind of experience. I would always hear people say, you can't compare the two. They are their own unique experiences. And I kind of thought like that's the easy way out, the cop-out answer. But it's 100% true. There is no way to compare the two. They really are, different in their own way and awesome in their own way. I can say this. I definitely got some relaxation in the cruise. I really enjoyed being able to visit Castaway Cay as well. I've always wanted to swim in crystal clear ocean water with a chance of seeing some fishes, and that's exactly what happened. I did that. I saw some fishes. It was so cool. And maybe I'll do a whole episode if y'all want me to about it regarding that. Maybe do a different kind of episode. But I wanted just to tell you guys thank you. I greatly appreciate you guys for sticking by and checking out those previous episodes for that week that we didn't have an episode. But it is the ending of the year. 2017 is coming down. So I'm going to be doing kind of a little series here to wind down this year. So we're going to be looking at a couple things. We're going to be looking at setbacks. We're going to be looking at goals or strengths, and then goal setting. And I'm excited. I'm going to be doing this along with you guys, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited. So, to start 2018 strong, I'm one of those people who used to always say, I'll start in the new year, and then that changed into, I'm going to start now. Because I found that every time I'd say I start in the new year, about mid to late of the new year, I was barely thinking, oh wait, I was supposed to start this in the beginning of the new year. Whoops. So I've kind of trained myself to stop saying I'll start the new year, but instead say I'll start now. At least start trying now. We can put it that way. So we're gonna be doing this, and I'm excited. I have some things planned for the future for the Talk About the Magic podcast and kind of structure and everything. So I'm very excited to be sharing that with you guys very soon. I'm not doing this episode live like I usually do because I literally just came back about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. I just got into the house, and so I do not look very presentable because I just drove about a 5-hour trip because there's some really bad accidents on the way over that took a lot more time. So no live show today, but you can still hear the voice. It's great. But thank you so much. If it's your first time hearing the podcast, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. And that way you can check out all the previous episodes where I've had some wonderful guests on the show, all dealing with inspiration and encouragement when it comes to Disney. But like I said, we're going to be starting the series off. So today's episode is going to be talking about setbacks. Title should be there, but I believe what I'm putting is appreciate the setbacks. So, every year, like I said, we usually kind of start off with this idea of, okay, New Year's going to start. This is what I want to accomplish for the new year. And when we say what our goal is, we think what our goal is, we talk about it amongst friends, we get excited, we get pumped up, and we see about 2-3 weeks later, maybe we completely forgot. Either we forgot what we were trying to do, or we've already kind of failed and we pushed it off to the side because it didn't meet the expectation we expected it was going to meet. and we get frustrated, and we also kind of seem to lose our drive and our push to continue trying to reach whatever goal it is we're trying to reach. And then on top of that, I think I said and then and then on top of that, we kind of let that negativity and that frustration float over to our next idea, our next goal, our next dream, and we kind of already start deflating that balloon before we've even, tied it to a string and let it float into the air, because we've already kind of got this negative mindset of, I've already failed at one thing, I'm going to fail again. And it can be frustrating. It could be extremely frustrating. And we've talked kind of a little bit about this in the past episodes regarding frustration and everything. But, what's even more frustrating is when you are trying and things just keep coming in the way. Setbacks, there's your mistakes, there's other people's mistakes, there's, out of your hand kind of mistakes that come into play that you just can't help. And you realize that you've just gotten further and further from what you were trying to do. And, when you are putting your time and you're putting your effort, sometimes when you're putting even your money behind an idea or a dream or a goal, and you start seeing these setbacks happening, it can be beyond frustrating, beyond irritating, beyond pretty depressing even at times, because you have given so much of yourself and you realize it's just not panning out the way you had hoped. And we kind of tend to look at our heroes and we see them as they are now and think that's how they were when they started, and that's just not how it is. Most of the people that we look up to that are, successful in whatever, kind of thing you're looking at, whether it's weight loss, whether it's, amusement parks or animation, job sourcing, stock market, like whatever it is that you're looking up, to the person that you look up to when it comes to kind of achieving this goal that you're trying to set before yourself. If you dig a little deeper, than what you're just seeing now at their most successful time, you'll find that there was a lot of struggles that they had to go through in order to get to where they're at. It wasn't as simple as, I have an idea, next day I woke up and I was set and my idea was accomplished and made into reality and I'm good to go. It took sometimes months, sometimes years, even a decade to get to where they are. And when you're thinking about your own goal and when you're thinking about your own idea, your own dream, something that you should ask yourself is, am I willing to wait? I think that's a great question to put in front of you before you're tackling this idea, because a lot of times we get this kind of spark, right? And we get energized, we get excited. And so we just go gung-ho. I have this problem myself. I don't know if it's a problem, but I have this kind of reaction myself where I get an idea and I just like, boom. I mean, if you look at the past shows, you see I've made this podcast into 5 different podcasts at one time because of all these new ideas I get, and I get excited and I just run with it. And what I realized, and of course a lot of people have realized when it comes to this kind of stuff, when you read, a lot of these great people who have made it to where they are, is that it took time. And I think if you have a goal that you have in front of you and you aren't willing to accept that it may take time, you have to prepare yourself that maybe that goal isn't something that you really are truly serious about. And that's a weird feeling because it's kind of like you're quitting before starting. And that's just being kind of real with yourself. You want to achieve something and you want to get to that level where you're completed, right? But if you are not willing to put in the time or accept, not even put in, I think that's the wrong word, because, for a lot of us, we put in hundreds of hours of work into what we're trying to do and it never seems to take off. So forget that. Forget about putting in the time. If you're not willing to accept the amount of time that it will take, it may not be the right thing for you to be pursuing. You may have to tell yourself, hey, look, let me just kind of readjust. If I'm not willing to wait for this to happen with me putting my work behind it, maybe this isn't it. Maybe this over here, I am more willing to wait for it to happen and I still can put my work behind it, and maybe that's more acceptable. Even with the podcast, I've had amazing people be able to share their insight on their success on this show. Lou Mangello, our friends at Main Street Press, and just so many other people here. Kevin, John, some awesome animators, just a lot of people who have reached this goal that they set up, and they're at a place that we want to be ourselves. And, I've learned from them that, yes, it takes time. And whether they realize it at the time or not, that it's taking the time, that it's actually taking time, they continue to stay busy because they're willing to accept that we're going to do the most that we can do. And then it's just going to happen when it happens with the time. It all has to meet this kind of perfect moment when everything meets. The problem is that if you don't meet that moment where it's waiting for you, it might be 5 years from now, it might be 2 weeks from now, it might be 10 years from now. If you're not there to meet it, it will never come to pass. And so the problem is we get these setbacks and we get these frustrations and we say, I don't want to wait. I don't want to do this no more. And like I said, if you're not 100% serious and willing to put in the time, if you're not 100 and wait the time, if you're not 100% serious and willing to accept the setbacks that are going to come your way, whether it's your fault, someone else's fault, or completely out of your hands kind of fault, you have to understand that's just you maybe understanding the fact that you're not 100% serious with it, and that's okay. That I don't say that to be negative. I don't say that because sometimes it sounds kind of like you're being called maybe a wimp, or you can't handle it. You can't handle the hustle and all that ridiculous wording that we have out there. And that's not it. I use my wife as an example. I love my wife, and she's like, I'm in awe because what she does. She doesn't have the same kind of drive the way I do when it comes to ideas. She very much is happy. She worked her butt off to get her degree in nursing. She's a nurse. She loves the fact that because she's a nurse, she gets to have a family and we're taken care of. We're able to go to places like a Disney cruise or Disney trip. Like, that's what she's wanted, and that's what she has, and that's what she cares about, and that's amazing. And there's nothing wrong with that. She doesn't have the drive in the sense of where I'm like, I must make it my own. I must have a podcast. I must be able to, speak my mind. Like, that's just not her. And that's totally fine. And that might be you. You might be a person who just loves going to a 9 to 5, clocking out and enjoying the fruits of your labor. And there's nothing wrong with that. And like the reason why I mentioned, the wording is because right now we are in a weird little millennial be cool to be jobless kind of idea. and I'm saying this as someone who wants to do that, right? I want to own my own business. I want to be able to create income based on just doing what I love, which is podcasting and helping other people and inspiring other people, and creating, but I say that because right now it's weird. We get the whole, listen, check out my Jaguar here. This is not the way I started. I started in a 1-inch bedroom, and I'm going to tell you 10 secrets on why you need. And while these things may be great, and while these things may work to an extent for some people, they're not going to work for all. And unfortunately, when these people are talking, they're not, letting you know it's not for all. They kind of just keep fluffing you up and making you get excited, thinking, okay, yeah, this is me. And that's okay. And I think that's why as much as you can't hear his podcast or watch his YouTube around kids, his YouTube videos around kids, I give a lot of props to Gary Vee because he kind of came out of the crowd of all of these people who were saying like, yeah, anyone can do it. It doesn't matter. While that is true, he made it to more the point of not anyone maybe could try to do it, but not everybody's meant to do it. Not everybody should be trying to do it. You should, if you truly love to be able to just go to work, come home, play video games afterwards, like live your life and do that. Be happy. That's your number one thing. And, I give props for that because you don't hear that a lot. And that's the facts. That's true. And I had to learn that the hard way myself because there was a lot of things that I kept basically biting off. I kept trying to achieve and do, and I had my hand in so many different buckets, and I realized, like, why? I don't care. I don't care about this. Why am I trying so hard to succeed at it? And that's why it came back to focusing on what I do care about. And so I say all that going back to the first point, which is if you aren't willing to not only do the work that needs to be done, but accept the timing that it might take for you to get any kind of success from it, that might not be something you should be pursuing. Like, why invest your time into that? Why invest your money, your work? Use your resources to invest in something you do care about. And the goal setting, when I talk about goal setting and stuff, I've mentioned this a lot. It doesn't have to be big. This isn't, I'm not a podcast where I'm trying to motivate you just only for entrepreneurs, start your business. No. Look, you want to lose 15 pounds. That's a goal. You want to make it to where you guys are able to, you're able to take your family to a Disney World trip in 2 years. That's a goal. You want to be able to get a job promotion within the next 6 months. That's a goal. It doesn't matter what your idea is or what your goal is. What matters is that you have something in front of you that you want to achieve that's going to potentially make your life and your families and your friends or wherever else you want it to impact for the better. That's what you want to achieve. And that's the beauty of goal setting. That's the beauty of having ideas and reaching and trying to achieve something you've set in front of you. There is no certain, thing you have to try to do. There's nothing wrong with I don't want to be a millionaire. I do not strive to be a millionaire. I don't even know what would happen if I ever was to win the lottery of winning millions of dollars. I don't want it. I'm very much on a goal of trying to meet my personal, what I want to be able to achieve once a year. And I say, once I reach this, I've already put my limit. Once I reach this, not to say I'm going to stop and be lazy. No, I'm going to keep working to keep maintaining what I'm wanting to reach. But once I reach this, I'm set. I'm happy in that sense. I'm able to now move on to my next goal and next, trying to do something else now. So, going back to the setbacks, when you have this goal when you have this idea, this thing you want to achieve, and you are willing to put in the time or putting the work, and you are willing to accept the time it takes, you get these setbacks. And these setbacks come in, like I said, from all over the place. And it's frustrating. It's irritating. It's depressing sometimes even, because what they really do is they pull you and they trip you up, and they take away something that you needed, and now it's like you have to start again. And for every person, like I said, who we look up to, they've had their own. And your only difference is that you can either be the person who looks at the setback, and I'm going to give you an example, but you can be the person who has a setback and says, this is it, I'm done, I'm out. Or be the person who has a setback and says, okay, I'm going to get from this, I'm going to get better from this, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to keep going. Me and my wife, we talk about this kind of stuff a lot. Because like I said, she doesn't have the same kind of mentality as I do, so she always kind of asks. And one thing she always says, whenever we're having a discussion, and I don't want it to make it seem like she's negative or nothing, that she's not, but she'll I'll tell her my goal, right, my dream, like this is what I want to do. I love being able to do this. And she says, well, what if it doesn't happen? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, what if it doesn't happen? Like, what if you've been doing this for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, and it doesn't happen? What if you're never able to actually be able to create revenue from doing the podcasting or speaking and motivating and helping others? And I said, well, I mean, it will. I know it will. I just need to do the work and, wait the time, and it will happen. And she goes, but what about, because I said, I start mentioning all these people who have achieved it. And she goes, well, what about all those people that you've never heard of who didn't achieve it, who didn't get successful at it, who weren't able to achieve their goal? And honestly, I can't answer with 100% certainty, right? Because I don't know everybody's life and everything, and I don't know. But here's what I tell her, and this is what I believe. Honestly, this is what I truly believe. The difference between the people who I do mention who did make it and these people who, quote unquote, maybe just never reached it. They kept trying, but they never. I don't believe they truly did. I believe that they had a setback, that they stopped and they quit. Maybe not on their entire vision, but on enough of their vision to miss out on that one opportunity. The reason why I did the interviews on this show and why I'm going to be doing them again is because when you listen to these people's stories and you listen to their journeys of how they got from point A to point B, there was usually this thing that just seems like luck, coincidence, serenity, whatever you want to think, whatever word, it just seems like, it's one of those, if you weren't there at this exact moment, at this exact time, this may never have happened. And I think it's so interesting because you can find that pretty much in every single story that we've had on the show. And it's true, right? I mean, if they weren't there, if they didn't try that one moment, that wouldn't have opened up the door for the next step. And, that next step opened up a bigger door. And the next step opened up a bigger door. And the next step opened up a bigger door until finally they actually were at the level they were wanting to do. And now they're trying to achieve other ones, other goals, other ideas. And so I it's funny because, I personally truly believe that you are either trying to achieve your goal, meaning you may not have achieved it yet, but it doesn't mean you won't. Or 2, you quit. And it's a guarantee, yes, you will never achieve that. So it's important that when we get these setbacks, when we get these, things that knock us over, that feel like they're pulling us down, dragging us down, that we stay focused and understand that this is part of it. This is all part of it. And it's not fun, I shouldn't say fun, but it's an interesting game that gets played when we're trying to reach our goals. It seems like, when you're lazy and you're not trying to do it, it's all good. Everything's fine. But once you get serious and you start really pushing toward it, all of a sudden you start noticing these things that keep blocking you, keep trying to, stop you from getting to where you're at. I've had countless setbacks that have made me say, I quit. And what's funny is some of those, dreams and goals that I've had, I truly have let go of. But there's other ones that I thought I had let go of, or I thought I was going to quit, and they've just come back. And I've realized, this is something I believe I love, and I really feel like it's a gift that I have that I'm able to do. And so I'm going to keep pursuing it. And I don't have the idea of, if I don't do it by the time I'm, 40, it's over. It's all over. I'm going to burn my guitar. No, it's, I'm referring to my music, I guess. You can tell since I said burn my guitar. But I'm like, no, I love it. And I don't care if, if I'm, make all the money from all my music or zero money in the sense of that. This is what I love and I'm passionate about, and I'm going to keep doing it. And my personal goal for like my own music is that I just keep recording and I keep making it. I don't go on tour. I don't plan on touring. I don't do any of that. I just want to create music and share it. That's my big thing. That's just me. That's a fun little goal I have that I've always had because I've loved music since I was a little kid. But for a while, I didn't own any instruments because I was just over it. And I said, never mind, because I felt like it wasn't happening. So I was quitting. And then I realized, well, I still love it. I found myself, continuing to write and melodies and stuff. And that's why I was like, no. So I have music out there. It's floating in the internet. And that's what I love about it. That's what I love, the fact that, there's no reason for you not to keep trying. And it doesn't matter. What's important is that you reach the amount of success that you are trying to reach for. Like I said, I don't want to be a millionaire. So if somebody else who's richer than me comes and sees what I'm doing and says, you could be making so much more money, look at how much money I make, I'd say, that's great, thank you, but have a good day. That's not me. That's not this is what I want. And so when you're achieving your goal, set your goal, set up, the way you want, and understand it may take time. It will take time, actually. You just don't know how much time it will take. When I lost over 75 pounds, it took about a year and a half for me to do it. Ever since I said I'm going to do it again because I had gained all the weight back, it's been about 3 years still. So, and I haven't done it yet. And that's okay because I keep setting back and then I keep letting things stall me and not get serious. But I've since been getting much more serious with it, and I'm looking to do it right and really get serious with it. And that's going to be kind of going into our next show. But setbacks. I want you guys who are listening, when you you don't see them as setbacks at the time. Most of the time, they're going to seem like failures. Is what it really will seem like. It'll feel like a reason to quit. Because, like I said, it'll be something that either you did or somebody else did, or nobody did, but it just happened and it broke and it messed up and it stopped working. Maybe you're trying to lose weight and all of a sudden you pulled a leg and now you're out for 2 weeks. You can't run. It's just not fair. When you were trying to get serious, now you can't do it. That's a setback. And we have to keep our mentality strong. We have to keep our idea behind what we're trying to do strong, and understand that it is worth the setback. It is worth the setback. And we have to learn to appreciate that setback because, and now we're getting into our quotes, the people who we look up to have had hundreds, if not thousands, of setbacks themselves. And because they kept their, confidence strong and their knowledge strong of what they're trying to achieve, they were able to achieve something that for many of us now it seems like impossible. Unbelievable. I mean, when I was on the ship and I was learning about everything, I was, they do a tour and I was just kind of in awe because I realized the Disney cruises have zero to do with Walt Disney. This was kind of in the Michael Eisner time. We don't really see anything where Walt Disney says, I want to build a, cruise focusing only on Disney. But the idea that Walt had from the very beginning, drawing, his animations and then creating a movie from that, which was, of course, a whole other, issue in that sense of people not believing it. And then going into, creating a theme park, which people thought he was crazy. And then wanting to do Epcot, and people were just like, and then he had, we just, from a smallest idea, we see this grow to where even now, when he has been long gone for so many years, we get new innovations, we get these new ideas, and the company continues to grow and create things like the Disney cruises, which are phenomenal. It's an amazing experience. And on top of that, they're pretty much buying everything. They just bought Fox, which is good if you're a Marvel fan, because now Disney officially owns X-Men, Deadpool, and Fantastic Four, so that's exciting. But it's incredible that this one man who had, from what we see, really no aspirations to own and to, inspire as many people as he has, how he started just from that one little idea, that one little thought, and he had so many setbacks. The quotes that I've been using come from the book The Quotable Walt Disney. But I one of my favorite books to either listen to on Audible or to get, to read physically. So it would be How to Be Like Walt. There's a lot of Walt Disney books. But the reason why I like How to Be Like Walt is it doesn't focus on Walt's story only. It really gives a lot of insight and idea behind the ideas he had. And it gives its own kind of, notion of a positive outlook. There's a lot of things that happen with Walt that were not the best experiences for his life. Miscarriages, his parents' death, his mom's death, and everything like that. And his father's, his relationship with his father. And a lot of the books out there kind of point it just kind of in a bland, negative way, which is, I understand why, because that's the fact. But How to Be Like Walt shares it in a different way, and saying the same thing, but the way it's worded is in a much more understanding of, in the end, Walt did appreciate his parents and love his dad and understand that, he respected his dad, even though all the stuff that they went through, and he missed his mom, and, he still had faith and courage to continue on, even when they had a miscarriage and when he hurt his back. And I mean, there's just so many setbacks that he had to fight through. But that's one of my favorite books. So if you're ever interested and you really want to get into Walt Disney, I would recommend that one. But it goes into our quotes for the day. This one's coming from, like I said, The Quotable Walt Disney, and this will be in the show notes. But it says, all the adversity I've had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. This is interesting to me, because he didn't say, when it comes to Disney, some of the things that I went through were pretty tough, but I pushed through, and it's great because now I'm able to see that some of those things were good for me. He said, all the adversity, not in my professional life, in my life, all my troubles, not in my professional life, in my life, and obstacles, not in just my professional life, but in my life, have strengthened me. That's a mindset that he had, where he said, this hurts now. This is tough to get through now. I don't know how we're going to do this now. I don't see any kind of future per se and being able to do this now. But you know what? We're going to push through. We're going to do it. We're going to keep going. And because of that, he's able to appreciate every single little setback because he realized that one setback made him stronger for the second setback. And then that second setback made him stronger for the third setback. And for that third setback, it made him stronger for the fourth. And you see how it keeps growing and growing and growing to where all of a sudden he seems invincible. To the extent, to the extent that now we are still seeing things happen with Walt Disney, even though he's not here. So yes, love that quote. And the second one is coming from the proverb. It says, "Don't throw away your confidence. It brings a great reward." That is key. Confidence, not cockiness. Difference. Confidence. We're not going for Gaston here. We're not going for that. We're going for the be tough, never quit. We're going for the you can knock me down, but I'll get back up. We're going for the Rocky kind of confidence, not the Gaston confidence. So those are the two differences. That one comes from Hebrews 10:35. But guys, like I said, this is going to be kind of a mini little series as we're getting into the New Year's. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked this idea. I thought it'd be something interesting, so I thought let's go for it. So hopefully you guys like it, and hopefully you guys will continue listening on. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me on the Facebook group. I'll talk about the magic, the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Email me, talkaboutthemagicpodcast@gmail.com. It doesn't matter. Just reach out to me. Let me know what's going on. If you guys are going through your own thing, if you have had setbacks yourself, let me know, what's happened. And I'd love to be able to somehow, if I could, help and encourage you in any way possible. I hope you guys are having, though, a wonderful, wonderful week, and that you start Monday strong. If it's your, new work day week, that you started strong. And I hope you have a wonderful night, day, week. And whenever you're listening to this, and as always, stay magical.
This was the Talk About the Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay magical.